Good morning, everybody. You already know who it is. Target individual CJBK. Oh, it's cold this morning. It's cold. I'm at work. Right now, I'm waiting on this second truck to unload, and as I'm, slowly preparing myself for the change in weather. You know, I'm also keeping in mind that, I'm about to live out the last 2 days in my my first apartment, you know. But I'm still out here just thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, so I already know the gang stalking and the electronic harassment, the, manipulations of my central nervous system, all that stuff isn't going to stop because, it all persists, as I, even spent the night at my mother's house and everything. But, for the most part, I know it's not going to stop. I still know for a fact that, I can use neodymium magnets to try to at least reduce the amount of pain signals that is sent to my brain from my lower back. They're basically trying to damage the nerves that are that basically controls my left leg. It starts in the lower left side of the spine, or the nerve that protrudes from I forgot which vertebrae, but the vertebrae that controls the leg, the left leg. They attack that, and then the pain starts from that lower back, then it travels wrapping around towards the side of the hip, and then it travels down the leg. But whenever I place my stack of neodymium magnets right over that vertebrae, it reduces the pain some. But then I was on Facebook, and I follow this guy John Walker, aka Deepfake Video Rob, and he posted some interesting stuff about how there's a lot of money worth for organs, right? And I already kind of know for a fact that that some of these people who are gang stalkers are probably workers within the medical industry. Because I don't just and I don't know. I think maybe regular average people can just learn about human anatomy and stuff, but to the skill and level that they're basically using these weapons on the central nervous system, and how they know so much about brain anatomy, and what parts of the brain to attack and what parts of the body to attack, how to cause the heart to actually how to induce the heart to give like that big huge pump, that feel like you're about to have a heart attack. They have to be people that work in the medical industry. And among other things, who really tries to get more money out of you than somebody who got medical student loans to pay off, right? So, and then it also deems to me that my perps through the V2K, they love to say, well, they haven't said it in a while, but in the very beginning, they used to always say, when I started speaking up about this targeted individual stuff, they used to say, he don't realize he's messing with people's livelihoods. And I'm like, messing with people's livelihood. And that used to ring out in my mind so often. I used to repeat it to myself, messing with people's livelihoods. Because in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, what could I possibly be doing to mess with someone's livelihood if they're already messing with my livelihood? And then, as more and more information come out, it start to click after a while. this really is human trafficking. It really is human trafficking, and they're basically trying to traffic me for my organs. They said, oh, they wanted me to become a police officer, but I'm just like, nah, I can't see myself becoming no police officer. No disrespect to anyone who is a police officer, because I know plenty of people who are cops, and I've actually had situations where a cop went a little too hard, for whatever little ticket he wanted to give me. Then there's also cops I've come across in my life that basically was just like, all right, I'm gonna let you slide, just don't do it again, So I don't have no real problems with cops, but I just never wanted to become a cop, right? But their whole thing was, oh, you were supposed to become a police officer since you told on us to the doctors, And of course, like I said before, the doctors tried to make me seem like I was depressed or schizophrenic. And it's crazy because this whole thing got me really analyzing what people perceive as signs of depression, schizophrenia, and everything. And then now that I already know about how people's emotions can be manipulated using directed energy or frequency waves, like microwaves, it really rings out to me now that the world is literally blind to the fact that there are groups of people who are controlling other people around the world, and we don't know. Most of us don't know. A lot of times you think you waking up. A lot of times people don't even like it. I'm so glad that God opened my eyes to this, because it's like people think that when they wake up in the morning, they just feel like shit, like for no reason. But now I've actually come to the point where I now know that there's people using technology that while you were asleep, your body is supposed to be resting. Your body, you should literally not be waking up feeling like crap. Besides the electromagnetic fields that's always around, that's constantly flowing all around us, and then, all the electronics you might have turned on in your home and stuff like that, besides all that, there are people who are preying on us, using these devices, and they're basically trying to make us agitated, sick, angry, depressed, all these different things. And then what makes it even worse, they're watching and recording us to see our outcomes and everything. And some would say it's an experiment. I would actually believe it's a means to basically bid and make money off of people. Think of like a Hunger Games meet the Truman Show. It meets, the Manchurian Candidate meets, Enemy of the State. This is even though they're all movies, but people tend to forget that movies are based off of real thoughts and a lot of factual, events that actually happened in life. So it's not just these things are just happening out of nowhere. Then it's like, this is just strict. This is all sci-fi stuff. Nah, a lot of these things that are thought up are literally based on true things that are occurring in the world. Yes, of course, Hollywood, hype things up and fictionalizes it even more. But at the end of the day, a lot of this stuff is very, very, very much true, So, I'm trying to see what I'm gonna end up doing when I get to my mother's house, because I already know there are some things I can do, like of course, there's always stones and stuff I can buy, like special stones like organite, um, that actually basically repels radiation. I think it either absorbs radiation or repel radiation. Then there's also plants. I actually have it's a website of 10 plants that actually absorbs radiation, or does it absorb radiation? Yeah, it was 10 plants that absorb radiation. Cactus is one of them, and that surprised me. So I was like, okay, a cactus, and a cactus is so easy to take care of. So I'm like, okay. Then what else? Then there's also other type of things like special devices you can plug up into the wall, like I think they like EMF, shielding things you could plug into the wall. But yeah, there's a number of different things that you can do to protect yourself from these attacks. And as the news media and coverage is slowly starting to report this, what they dub as Havana Syndrome, and then the funny thing is, let me finish that last thought. But as the media start to put more coverage on what they're dubbing as Havana Syndrome, which is basically the same thing that us targeted individuals have been enduring, but now all of a sudden, that because it's happening to government officials, now it needs to make the mainstream media, now it needs to be talked about. This is how there's an agenda involved. There's an agenda, and there's also a type of simply put, there's an agenda involved in this. Because how is it that people who've been complaining about the very same symptoms that these so-called government officials have, just started experiencing, how is it that citizens, U.S. citizens and people from other countries have been complaining about those very same exact symptoms, and when they try to go to like a doctor, or they try to go to a lawyer to complain about neighbors or blah blah blah, they get ignored, and then the doctors would try to misdiagnose them for having a psychological illness. But now that now that it's happening to government officials, there are former government officials who are TIs, and they've been whistleblowers and talking about this for decades too. But now it's just amazing me how like places, companies like CNN, NBC, CBS, all of them, they're now starting to talk about Havana Syndrome, like, and then the language that they're using, they're trying to make it sound like it's this mysterious, thing that scientists don't know what's happening. And I'm like, how the fuck they don't? I said that's a bullshit ass lie, because all the information that I've been finding out about this technology goes all the way back to like hell. I mean, some of the original patents go all the way back to like the 50s and 60s. You can look up Jose Delgado, Dr. Jose Delgado, and there's a few others. But then what makes it even worse is that, when I started to do more research on, like secret societies and stuff, because, I started thinking, well, if it's happening to so many people around the world, and it's not just happening in the United States, it made me boil it down to, okay, if it's happening to so many people, and then each target individual is experiencing minor to moderate and severe effects of the attacks. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, there are factions. And then when I thought about factions, of course, when my perps, they want to gloat of themselves and try to make themselves feel good about what they're doing and make themselves feel like they're powerful and indestructible and stuff like that. They're like, we're a secret society, So I'm just like, okay. So I ran with it, right? They said they're a secret society. So I'm like, okay, secret society. Now, I always knew about secret societies, whether it was like Illuminati, Skull and Bones, Freemasons, blah, blah, blah. I knew about all of them, But now, I started to dig a little deeper recently. Dig a little deeper. So I said, let me research more about, I think what really pointed it out was when I typed in the search term, secret tech society, right? I typed in secret tech society, and what comes up after I put in that was information about how back in like the world, like in during the World War I, World War II, there was all these like different secret societies who had information and knowledge about very, very advanced weapons that wasn't readily available to other to different armed forces, no matter what country. They weren't readily available to them yet, and seeing how like seeing how German secret societies had sent out like expeditioners to like different countries, China, India, to Tibet, places like that, to learn about the type of weapons and information that they had. Next thing you know, they started sharing this information, and then like I mentioned in the previous video, when the Nazis, Hitler was supposed to be a puppet, but then he just became too uncontrollable. They said they didn't want to give him the access to those advanced weapons, which would have probably won World War II for the Nazis. I mean, because the weapons that they were referring to back then is probably the weapons that they're using now. All this stuff about these psychotronic weapons and ultrasound weapons and things of that sort. So I was just like, yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted. I'm over here. I'm watching everything because I'm at work, and I'm just trying to make sure that that's my cart. Don't try to take my cart. But anyway, so it's a whole bunch of stuff going on right now. And you know what? I'm glad I'm wide awake. I'm really glad I'm wide awake. And God said those who have eyes will see, those who have ears will hear. Anyone who choose not to see and choose not to hear, they will not be saved from the storm that is about to come. And if you keep God's commandments, you hold them close when you go to sleep, and you wake up with them in your spirit, you will be blessed, and the storm shall pass over you. All you have to do is endure. They're going to do everything in their power to try to break you down, disrupt your energy and all kinds of things. But what you got to do is make sure you endure. You don't do what they do. And funny as it is, my mom's raised me on that. Don't do what other people do. You do what's right. She raised me on that. So, but I just had to get this off, and because I'm waiting out here in the cold, and I'm just pacing back and forth, and I'm just like, man, I was like, I need to readjust my magnet because they've been hitting that nerve hard. But among other things too, they've been attacking my tonsils, my thyroid, I haven't got that deep heart palpitation in a while. But yeah. So as always, just remember, take life one breath, one thought, one step, one day at a time. And remember, you have one body, one mind, one spirit, one God. Peace.